The biblical record, the dispute of Jephthah and the Ammonites, Judges 11:12-33. A record of the words spoken between Jephthah, judge of Israel, and the king of the Ammonites. 12 Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites, saying, What is this between you and me, that you have come to fight against my land? 13 And the king of the Ammonites answered the messengers of Jephthah, Because Israel, when they came up out of Egypt, took away my land, from the Arnon to the Jabbok and to the Jordan. Now therefore restore it peaceably. 14:27 Then Jephthah again sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites, and he spoke to him, saying, Thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites. When they came from Egypt, they passed through the wilderness to the Red Sea. They sent messengers to the king of Edom and the king of Moab, asking for safe passage, but they were refused. So Israel went another way, and they encamped beyond the Arnon in the territory of Sihon, king of the Amorites in Heshbon. They did not enter the territory of Ammon, for the border of the Ammonites was strong. But Sihon did not trust Israel to pass through his territory. He gathered his people and fought against Israel at Jahaz. But the Lord, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all his people into the hand of Israel, and they defeated them. So Israel took possession of all the land of the Amorites who inhabited that country. Now then, are you any better than Balak the king of Moab? Did he ever contend against Israel? Did he ever fight against them? For 300 years, while Israel lived in Heshbon and its villages, and in Arah and its villages, and in all the cities that are along the Arnon, why did you not take them back in all that time? I have not sinned against you, but you are doing me wrong by making war on me. May the Lord, the judge, decide this day between the people of Israel and the people of Ammon. 28 But the king of the Ammonites did not listen to the words of Jephthah, which he had sent to him. 29:33 Then the Spirit of the Lord was upon Jephthah, and he advanced against the Ammonites. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord. He crossed to the Ammonites to fight against them, and the Lord gave them into his hand. And he struck them from Arah to the vicinity of Minnith, 20 cities, and as far as Abel Keramim with a very great blow. So the Ammonites were subdued before the people of Israel. Relating the biblical account to the realities of the Gaza Strip today. The story in Judges 11 is not a one-to-one allegory for the modern Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, it serves as a powerful archetype, revealing enduring dynamics of land, narrative and violence that are tragically visible in Gaza today. 1. The clash of irreconcilable historical narratives. In Judges 11, the Ammonite king claims Israel took away my land. Jephthah counters with a detailed historical argument. The land was taken not from Ammon, but from the Amorite king Sihon in a defensive war, and Israel has held it for 300 years. Both sides operate from a foundational narrative that justifies their claim and paints the other as the aggressor. In Gaza today, this is the core of the conflict. Palestinians speak of the Nakba catastrophe of 1948, where hundreds of thousands were displaced from their homes and land during the creation of the State of Israel. Israelis speak of the re-establishment of their ancestral homeland, a right they see as historical, biblical, and affirmed by international law after the Holocaust. Each side's authentic record begins with a grievance that invalidates the other's claim. 2. The justification of control through past victories. In Judges 11, Jephthah's ultimate justification is, the Lord gave the land into our hands. The military victory itself is seen as divine sanction for their control of the territory. The 300 years of habitation is used as proof of established, legitimate ownership. In Gaza today, Israel's military victories in 1948 and 1967 established its control over the territories. Many Israelis view this as a miraculous reclamation of their promised land. The subsequent building of settlements, though not in Gaza itself, the principle applies to the West Bank, is seen by supporters as affirming this historical right. Conversely, Hamas's charter and the actions of other Palestinian factions also claim divine mandate for their struggle to reclaim all of historic Palestine. 3. The failure of diplomacy and the inevitability of force. In Judges 11, Jephthah engages in a lengthy diplomatic exchange. He doesn't dismiss the claim out of hand but presents a counter-argument. However, the text states simply, the king of the Ammonites did not listen. With diplomacy exhausted, the only resolution is a devastating military confrontation. In Gaza today, this cycle is painfully familiar. Numerous peace processes, summits, and truces have failed. From the perspectives of both Israelis and Palestinians, the other side has not listened to their core grievances or legitimate security needs. When diplomacy and blockades fail to bring security or sovereignty, the situation deteriorates into violent conflict, as seen in the repeated wars between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, 2008-09, 2012, 2014, 2021, 2023. The failure of dialogue leads to the terrible logic of force, just as it did for Jephthah. 4. The human tragedy of cyclical violence. In Judges 11, the story ends with the Ammonites subdued before the people of Israel. It is a victory for one side, but the chapter is immediately followed by the tragic story of Jephthah's daughter, a personal cost of his vow. The text does not shy away from showing that violence, even victorious violence, carries a profound and tragic human cost. In Gaza today, this is the most stark parallel. The story in Judges is a snapshot of one conflict. The reality in Gaza is a multi-generational cycle. The great blow Jephthah struck finds its echo in the high casualty rates, destruction of infrastructure, and profound humanitarian crises in Gaza. The subdued Ammonites have their parallel in a Palestinian population living under a blockade, with limited sovereignty, and in the deep-seated trauma and insecurity felt by Israeli civilians living under the threat of rocket fire. The human cost on all sides is the central tragedy, just as Jephthah's personal victory was marred by profound personal loss. Conclusion. The biblical record of Jephthah does not provide a divine solution for the modern conflict. Instead, it holds up a mirror, showing us that the patterns of disputed history, justified violence, and the tragic human cost of war are ancient. The warning of the Judges is that when competing historical truths become entrenched and diplomacy fails, the land becomes a stage for endless cycles of retaliation and suffering. Recognizing these ancient patterns in our modern reality is a necessary, if painful, step toward seeking a different, more peaceful outcome.